Hello, welcome back to my channel. It is the end of week 3, starting on week 4 today. So I am so close to being halfway through. It really seems simultaneously like it hasn't been that long, but it's also been an eternity. But I wanted to give some results on week 3. So I'm going to throw in the stats right up here. I started the pre-op journey at 374 pounds. Last week I weighed in at 361.3, and today I weighed in at 358. So that is a 3.8 pound loss for week 3 and a total of 16 pounds lost so far on the pre-op diet. I was happy to see that I had a nearly 4-pound loss this week. It feels a lot more like what I was expecting out of the pre-op diet. I know I need to just kind of let go of any expectations and just work things the best that I can and enjoy any loss, but I really kind of was expecting, with how restrictive it is and how few calories I am eating, that I would be looking at something more along the 5-pound loss mark. So seeing as I almost doubled the amount of weight loss between last week and this week, I think that I'm onto something at looking at all the nutritional information that I have on MyFitnessPal and just trying to make sure that I'm staying within certain guidelines. I did a little bit more research just out of curiosity on what other liver shrinking pre-op diets are like. I know a vast majority of them are liquid only for 2 to 3 weeks. I saw a whole forum post about how common milk diets are, which is apparently just drinking pints of milk. I don't know, that one was, I wouldn't want to do it. But there are a lot of places out there, especially more recently over the years, that are adopting an option for a solid food-based pre-op diet. And so it's not completely unique to Mexico Bariatric Center, and it's widely varied between the different places and what their nutritionists are saying. Some places are allowing certain grains, I think like oatmeals and brown rice and things like that, in very small quantities. And other places are doing something a lot more like this: very low carb, low fat, high protein. So what I learned is that there's a lot of different places that do a very low carb diet, mainly because they just turn to sugar and then it makes your liver work harder, and it's not really helping for a liver shrinking diet. And they require you to eat less than 100 grams of carbs a day. And if you look at my information, I am definitely under 100 grams of carbs a day. So if you look at the spreadsheet that I decided to make, because yes, I am that kind of person, and yes, I am going to overthink this, for week 3, my averages were a little bit similar to last week, but overall I think I did a little bit better. My calories were just slightly more, pretty much even though, honestly, with week 2. My carbs were lower, my fat was just a tiny bit higher, my protein was a little higher, my sodium was a little lower, and I started tracking some sugar and some water, and my sugars were pretty low, and my water was an average of 73 ounces, which I think is fantastic considering it's so hard for me to stay hydrated. So over here, just kind of comparing the weeks so far, this is one of my better weeks, I think, out of the 3. I think one thing that I can take away from some of the data that I'm collecting is that I might want to work on just cutting back a little bit on the fat in my diet. Although I will say that the fat that I do eat, I try to keep within the healthy fat zones, so to speak. So I am eating things like avocados, very small amounts of seeds and nuts, some olives, and then there's just small bits of fat in the lean proteins and vegetables and things that I'm eating that are just natural. So I think I'm doing a pretty good job with that. I would say that if I were to continue along the same lines as this week in terms of my nutrients, I think that I would be doing great. And if I could lose 4 to 5 pounds a week, that would be fantastic, and it would put me in a really good spot pre-op. As far as experiences go this week, it was a little different than the prior 2 weeks. I was pretty confident at the end of week 2 that I was kind of getting over the hardest part of it, and my cravings were subsiding, and I was feeling a lot more comfortable with the diet. And this weekend, I felt the most annoyed and angriest that I've felt in this diet so far. I really felt this entire weekend pretty much that there was a light shining on the fact that this is a very inconvenient diet, at least for what I was trying to accomplish. I find that it is definitely something that you need to prepare for. You absolutely need to prep your food, whether or not that means meal prepping, which I am horrible at, and I hate meal prepping, and I cannot explain to you why I hate it. It just feels like the bane of my existence. I know that I would have a bad habit of spending time on Sundays prepping for the week, and then the week would roll around, and about 3 or 4 days in, I would absolutely not want to eat what I had prepped, and I would usually turn to something else. Now, in this situation, I don't have an option, right? I mean, I'm stuck on the pre-op. I can't just order something because I'm lazy and I don't want to eat what I prepped. So meal prepping may work out much better for me, and I'm gonna probably have to try it this weekend because the hardest thing I found is taking lunch to work. This week, I have realized that I don't have time in the morning to make something or shove something into a container and take it with me. So almost every day, I took a frozen vegetable soup out of the freezer and spent 12 minutes at work defrosting it so that I could eat it, and I hated it. Not the soup, but I did get bored with the soup. It was the only convenient thing that I had available. So definitely having something that I can grab and go, especially for lunches, but also when I'm out and about and I need to do things. And that's what happened this weekend. I was out doing a couple errands. We were running to a couple stores. We got haircuts. We went to the pumpkin patch. Pretty much the most I've been out in like 6 months happened this weekend. And I found that I absolutely didn't have anything that I could grab and take with me. So I took a protein shake and I drank that in the car on our way to the first store. But by the time I was done shopping, I was just so hungry again. I realized that I had hours before I was going to be able to be home. And my boyfriend and I scoured through our apps and online. And is there anything that we can really grab while we're out? Is there a fast food option? And aside from maybe a couple places where you can put together a salad, there's really not a lot of options, which isn't surprising at all. So I found out pretty much the hard way that if you don't eat before you go, if you don't have something prepped that you can grab and take with you, you're kind of in a tough spot. So it was a really good reminder that although I was deeming it as inconvenient this weekend, it's just a reminder that I need to make sure that I'm prepared and that I can't be left in a situation where I don't have a plan, because there's really no backup. The absolute worst case scenario, if I am absolutely starving and I'm out somewhere, I can probably find a place that can give me a chicken breast or something lettuce wrapped if there's no cheese and dairy and stuff on it. I'm sure I could find something if I were desperate. The other thing that I really was noticing this week is my hanger. I am notorious for getting hangry. I really am. And I do apologize all the time to my boyfriend for it because I can be difficult. But at least he knows that it's hanger, and once I get food, I'm usually fine. Although I haven't been more hungry this week than I have other weeks, I really noticed when my reserves were getting low, when my fuel tank was on empty, I was really grumpy, and I just had enough of the day, and I had enough of what was going on. So by the time I come home from work, if I haven't really snacked enough or had enough to satiate me throughout the day, I don't really notice it up until I get home and I'm just angry. And so that was on full display, I think, this week. And just a reminder that I might want to go ahead, even though I might not think that I'm really that hungry, and drink a protein shake maybe in the afternoon as a snack, especially if I'm looking at maybe having a bit of time between getting off work and being able to eat. Maybe the thing I'm making for dinner takes a little bit longer. I definitely need to have more snack options, and to just let myself have either a protein shake or a small snack in the afternoon so that I don't become an awful person. On to the good things that happened this week, though. I still feel like I am not ruled by cravings at all. I'm feeling really good. I'm feeling like I have a decent amount of energy. I'm just overall really pleased with how the last 3 weeks have gone by. And if it's like this for the whole 8 weeks, I'll say that it was really not as difficult as I was anticipating it to be. But I still have 5 weeks left, so I'm gonna hold off on saying that quite yet. One of the really embarrassing things that happened somewhat recently, because I had gained a lot of weight back really quite quickly this year, is that suddenly my pants didn't fit. I don't wear pants very often. I usually wear dresses or skirts at work, but I have a pair of khakis that are something that I like to wear, especially when it's cold outside. And I tried to put them on and they haven't fit for a little while now. It was really upsetting to have these pants that fit perfectly fine. It seemed like just a couple of days ago, and now all of a sudden I just can't even fit in my own clothes. It was one of those things that was a big push and reminder that I can't let myself go like that, and I have to be vigilant and keep working. I occasionally will try to put them on, and I usually can't button them up, but I tried them this week and I actually got them to button, and I actually got them to fit. Were they the most comfortable? No, they're a bit snug. Yeah, they're kind of snug. But did they fit, and could I wear them to work? Yes. And that was huge for me. I was feeling limited in my wardrobe. The thoughts were bogging me down about how I had let myself get so big again. And I had already gotten rid of my big clothes for the most part, that I was running myself out of wardrobe for work. It was just really getting to me. So I was really excited that I had pants available to me in my wardrobe again. I'm feeling really good about losing 16 pounds in 3 weeks. That wasn't something that I could do very easily before. I have lost decent amounts of weight over various weeks when I was doing really well with Weight Watchers and things like that. But I really think the max that I ever lost in a month was probably about 15 pounds, which is really good. I mean, 15 pounds in a month is great. So 16 pounds in 3 weeks is phenomenal. And if I'm able to lose a full 20 pounds by the end of this next week, I will feel really good that I lost 20 pounds in the first half of my pre-op diet. And I don't know what the odds are that I could maintain that same level of loss and maybe go for 40 pounds, but I know that it's possible. I've seen people lose quite a bit of weight on the pre-op, and all I can do is keep trying the best that I can and seeing if I can keep rocking it. Thank you so much for following my journey. It is so far a really interesting process, and I imagine that it's just going to get more and more interesting as things wind closer and closer to the actual surgery date. There's a lot to talk about. There's a lot of stuff that I still need to do and I still need to prep for. But most of all, I'm really excited. I'm excited about this new life. I'm excited about what things are going to look like in the future, and I'm excited to keep going with this and see what's it going to look like at the end of 8 weeks. how am I gonna feel? I already don't have the same level of back pain that I had when I started. My pants are fitting again. I have more energy, and it seems like night and day from a month ago. It really does. So thank you so much for watching and supporting this journey and this life transformation that I'm going through. And I hope to see you guys in the next one. Bye.